I had docked at the Obsidian Spire station, a neutral outpost on the fringes of the Zorathian Nebula. My ship, a slightly outdated Terran transport named the Starbound Hawk, had taken a hit from a micrometeor swarm during the last jump. The hyperdrive needed delicate recalibration, something only a human with intimate knowledge of Terran engines could manage. As I worked, she stayed close, watching. Not a word, just observing, as if my every motion was a test. I found it oddly distracting but also strangely reassuring. Humans were rarely alone in the nebula. It was always pirates, smugglers, or rogue drones. Yet here she was alone. When I finally finished the primary calibration, I wiped my hands again. All done. Should be good to go. Her eyes sparkled. You've repaired it yourself? Yeah, I said, gesturing toward the nacelle. It was tricky, but I like a challenge. She nodded slowly, and then she spoke words I would never forget. You know, you just fixed the vessel of an Empress. I laughed. What? That doesn't make any sense. This is my ship. She shook her head, eyes narrowing slightly. No, the ship belongs to me. And you, human, have just repaired it without my permission. My stomach sank. Wait, what? She stepped closer, and suddenly I realized that I had unknowingly touched alien technology integrated with my Terran engine, a rare and highly valuable hybrid system that only an Empress would possess. My careless tinkering had been observed by none other than Elira, the Empress of the Zorathian Dominion. And she wasn't angry. Not yet. But the weight of her presence pressed on me like gravity. Gaining her respect. Elira studied me for what felt like hours. I was nervous, pacing slightly as I explained each repair step, describing the recalibration, the stress tests, and the safety overrides I had implemented. She listened, silent, her glowing eyes tracing every hand movement. Then, almost unexpectedly, she spoke. You have skill, she said. Not many of your kind could achieve what you have, even in your own technological limits. I laughed nervously, unsure whether to take it as a compliment or a veiled threat. Thanks, I guess. I've worked on engines all my life. Terran tech, Zorathian tech, doesn't matter. I fix it. Her lips curved into a faint smile. It does matter. Humans rarely adapt to alien technology so quickly. It is impressive. I felt my chest swell slightly. Humans were often underestimated. In interstellar politics, we were considered weak, fragile, predictable. Yet here I was, a simple mechanic impressing one of the most feared rulers in this sector. What happens now? I asked cautiously. I mean, you could arrest me for touching your ship. Or worse. She laughed, a sound both musical and commanding. Arrest you? No. You've done well. You have earned an audience. The next hours were surreal. Elira escorted me through the station aboard her personal transport, a sleek, obsidian craft with energy shields that shimmered like liquid metal. I was still in my greasy jumpsuit, carrying a toolkit, while she walked with regal composure, her presence filling the room as if gravity itself bent around her. You will come to my palace, she said. You will answer questions. Perhaps, if you survive the inquiries, you will remain free. I swallowed hard. Survive the inquiries? Her eyes glimmered. You fix my ship. But fixing my ship is only the beginning. The test of character. At the palace, I was introduced to her council, alien dignitaries, warriors, and advisors who studied me as if I were some exotic specimen. Each question was a test, probing my knowledge, my ethics, my problem-solving abilities, and even my courage. One of the counselors asked, "Why did you touch the energy core without authorization?" I looked at them, shrugging. I didn't mean any harm. It was a technical issue. If left unchecked, the ship would have failed during the next jump. Another counselor frowned. Humans are reckless. I shook my head. Or resourceful. Sometimes you have to act quickly to survive. My method worked. Elira watched quietly, her expression unreadable. Then she spoke. Humans act without fear of consequences because they know they can adapt. This is rare in the galaxy. You have done well, not just technically, but morally and strategically. You understand the balance between action and consequence. That is why you remain here, alive, and in my presence. I realized then that this was not just a test of technical skill, it was a test of character. She valued intellect, adaptability, and courage as much as physical power or advanced technology. Unexpected consequences. The days that followed were surreal. I was still technically a mechanic, yet I had become a guest of the Empress, invited to advise on technical matters and occasionally witness strategic meetings. Elira herself would visit me at the shipyard, asking questions about Terran engineering, sometimes challenging me to think creatively under pressure. I noticed something fascinating. Despite her fearsome reputation, she genuinely respected humans, not as pawns or curiosities, but as beings capable of ingenuity and courage. You have no idea how unusual this is, she said one evening, leaning casually against a support beam in my workspace. Most humans are fragile, predictable, or terrified when facing alien tech. You, simple human, adapted quickly. That is impressive. I scratched my head nervously. Thanks, I guess. But I'm just fixing a ship. You are more than that, she said softly. In my eyes, you represent a species capable of more than we give them credit for. Her words struck me. Here was an alien empress, ruler of a vast and technologically superior civilization, acknowledging the unique value of humanity. For the first time, I felt like humans weren't just insignificant participants in the galaxy. They were players capable of making a difference. Climax. Crisis and action. It wasn't long before the palace faced a threat. A rogue fleet, attempting to exploit the Nebula's energy fields, launched an attack on the Zorathian armada. Alarms blared, and I found myself in the command center, assisting Elira's engineers in stabilizing critical systems. Your knowledge of Terran power conduits is useful, Elira said, her voice tense as she coordinated defensive measures. I would not have thought of that solution. We worked side by side, recalibrating shields, redirecting energy, and reinforcing critical sectors. The alien engineers followed my lead, sometimes hesitating but ultimately trusting my expertise. When the enemy fleet breached the outer defenses, I suggested a risky hyperdrive maneuver that could create a gravitational distortion, disabling their ships long enough for the armada to counterattack. Elira agreed, giving the order. The plan worked flawlessly. The enemy fleet was trapped, their ships immobilized, and the Zorathian forces launched a decisive strike. The battle was over within an hour, and the palace erupted in celebration. Ending. Respect and recognition. After the battle, Elira summoned me personally. She extended her hand, a gesture of both gratitude and respect. You saved lives today, she said, not as a warrior, but as a human who understands technology, strategy, and courage. You have earned my respect and that of my entire dominion. I shook her hand, humbled. I didn't think fixing my ship would lead to this. She smiled. The galaxy works in strange ways. Sometimes, the smallest actions reveal the greatest potential. I realized then that my life had changed forever. A simple act of repairing a ship had led me into the presence of one of the galaxy's most powerful rulers. And in doing so, I had proven that humans, when given the chance, could stand shoulder to shoulder with even the most advanced civilizations. From that day forward, I was no longer just a mechanic on the edge of the Zarathian Nebula. I was a symbol of human ingenuity, courage, and potential. The Empress herself had acknowledged it, and the galaxy would take note. Sometimes, I still look back at the day I first tightened the hyperdrive couplings and smile. Who would have thought that fixing a ship could earn the respect of an alien Empress and change the way she saw humanity forever?